Yeah, the topic given to me is on space technology and its applications for the societal benefit. Initially, I would like to introduce to you about the National Remote Sensing Center and its regional centers which are there in 5 places in the country. Today, we have Delhi and Jodhpur, Calcutta and Bangalore and Nagpur for all the regions. And in Hyderabad, we have three more facilities. One is at Shadnagar, where we have the satellite data acquisition, processing, archival and dissemination mechanism. And then at Jidimetla, recently we started an outreach facility, and we have 2 aircrafts equipped with large format digital camera and also laser terrain mapper, and this is at Begumpet Airport. We have a facility. And then we also have a facility for data reception at Antarctica, and it is also continuously stationed by the colleagues to ensure the polar orbiting satellites to receive data from there and transmit to Shadnagar. And we have a facility called IMGOS, which will ensure less than an hour information transmission to the users from the satellite data reception. While coming to the data acquisition, and also the processing, the IMGOS is an integrated facility for multi-mission mode, the data to be accessed, processed and archived, and the system is such, and with the amount of data which is available in petabytes can be retrieved in less than 5 minutes to make it available for the user community. While coming to the dissemination, as per the remote sensing data policy, certain pricing of the products are available. However, today more of the products are made available on a free download mode on Bhuvan, and also through projects which is taken up on a mutual benefit, they are also made available for the user community. And while looking at the data processing part, there are ample opportunities available. As you are aware, today we have a host of satellites. At Shadnagar, we receive around 23 satellites, of which 8 are foreign satellites, rest are Indian. And to process this data both in optical and microwave, there is a good challenging opportunities available for academia to pitch in looking at the frequency domain data processing areas. And the data which is available today from both from optical and microwave data is used for many applications. These applications have been defined initially through a program called National Natural Resources Management System, with various ministries giving their requirements on what type of applications they would like to do and what are the gaps which is there in the regular data collection process, and how we can ensure through satellite based remote sensing or through aerial remote sensing. And today we also use field based sensors or IoTs, where we collect data for processing for a given application. So, these applications are all tailor made in using both earth observation as well as from communication and also the navigation set of satellites. So, the total solution is provided through using these satellite information plus the field data and also certain modeling aspects which is taken up, and an end-to-end solution is given to the users. So, every segment of it today has ample opportunities for academia to pitch in to take up projects of relevance to the national development. Few of the examples which I will go in when we are getting into the applications per se. For example, in agriculture segment, we have a crop inventory which is being done for major 8 crops, and today it is being done by the Mahanablis National Center for Crop Forecast located at Delhi. But there are new crops which we need to do, and there are 25 major crops which need to be assessed in terms of their inventory and also their yield. And in future, this is going to happen by at least in the next 5 years with the satellite data which is coming in, should be possible to do. And when coming to the crop pest and diseases, there are especially we have a sensor called shortwave infrared in most of our satellite data, both in covering large area coverage for AWIFs, which we have what we call as a 3-tier imaging from resource satellites. We have the shortwave infrared sensor, which is very useful for identifying the pests and diseases on the crop. So, there are examples, studies have been done, but it can be a major national program which we can put through while integrating the AWS data which is available, which is a network which is available across the country. So, this is an opportunity which the academia has to look in a big way, how the pests and diseases and onset, how we can trigger and place it for the user community. And for the agriculture monitoring also one is on the crop insurance. which has given on Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, where is a prominence given. There are some 9 areas in which the space based inputs are very essential. One in terms of the rate fixing, that is what is meant by the premium to fix, and for the information on what type of crop which has been sown and who is under the premium which comes in, and subsequently in between if there is any damage for the crop, and also the crop cutting experiments where to be the sample size to be picked up, and to ensure the turnaround time for the settlement of the claims, that becomes the critical input. But all this data needs to be processed, because there are only few agencies in the country which does such kind of a very specialized analysis. So, this is where we expect the opportunity for academia to take up projects of such a nature which is on a turnkey basis, for which we at GD Metla and also at the 5 regional centers, we are opening an opportunity for outreach related activity. And then when coming to the water and irrigation, in the irrigation and water there are what is called a catchment. So, how the catchment area treatment to be made, so the inflow into the reservoirs is well controlled with less of sediment discharge into them, and this is being done by watershed development programs, which is called integrated watershed management program by Government of India under Ministry of Rural Development. And today we are actually the majority of the watersheds we are doing in terms of monitoring and evaluation. That means what is the activity which is being done in the field, how it is being monitored regularly and evaluated. But we have all with the planning inputs like the land degradation, the groundwater potential, the land use land cover for the last 15 years, both in a cycle of 5 years for 3 years of 3 periods, and also for every year on a certain information. This is very critical for understanding which is the priorities and what type of water and land, soil and land conservation techniques needs to be done. So, this is one activity which need to be done more aggressively, and also the other one is on the NREGA, National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, which also is converging into water conservation mission today, and that was possible only with the space technology to make the ministries understand the investments being made under different projects, how they can converge and use these derivatives which comes out of the space technology inputs, how they can be made for different applications. And we also have the water information today. Every 15 days we are keeping the water body information onto the Bhuvan, which you might have seen on a video clipping on how it is being demonstrated to you, what its utilities are. These 15 days water bodies is helping in understanding the potential use of water and what are the constraints during drought and what are the alternative methods which can be followed. But also it is being looked as a future, a good project in terms of blue revolution. This is alternate third livelihood option for the rain-fed agriculture or in the rural segment is to inland fisheries. So, it has been seen there is something like 3,500 tons of fish can be made possible from a district in Chhattisgarh, and such districts are around more than 160 districts are available in the country. But this need to be made as an organized sector, and space technology gives the very critical inputs. And also to place new ponds or farm ponds in the tribal areas, we have observed that the tribal ministry is keen to give as a third livelihood option for the tribal people, and we have a digital elevation model generated from the COTOSAT-1, which is one of the best elevation model to give the gradient and also the water storage which can be put through. So, this is one segment which need more popularization, and also to take the projects locally, either from the state government or from the federal government per se. And then the irrigation potential itself, to look in the network of the canals and to what extent the canals have been fully made. This is being a technology done for more than 200 command areas. Now, the technology has been transferred to the ministry, which does online using the Bowen resources, and today it has been technology has been transferred for the Ministry of Water Resources with their own. But today the under the group of secretaries, it has become one of the element where we need to monitor in terms of actual potential versus the actual realization which is happening, and that is one major project which is going on. And the group of secretaries which discussed on certain future outcomes of one of the projects which you can see is on soil health card. That is how the information will be available for the farmer in terms of the micronutrient deficits, and also for the industry to make fertilizer industry to make the fertilizer blends. for a given region and need to be monitored regularly. After certain usage, when impact is made, how to ensure the subsidies and also the usage are normalized from the field end. But this needs more field investigations and also the research components which are available, which needs to be studied further. And one of the other initiatives on solid waste disposal. You are aware many of the towns have been identified and cities are coming up, but the solid waste disposal is one major element. You can see on Bhuvan, you have information on geomorphology, the groundwater potential, the land use land cover and gradients which you come from the digital cartodem. These are all the inputs which needs to put on solid waste disposal suitable sites, and the SOPs have been made. Now academia can take up directly with the town planning departments or the required government agencies how you can put through. This is from the rural segment. But and also we have one project where we have extensively made a database on space-based information support for decentralized planning. That means up to panchayat level or a village level planning, how it can be attempted. So base information on the roads, the railway network, the drainage, the water bodies have been mapped and placed. And also on Bhuvan, there is a Bhuvan Panchayat which has been given, which ensures what is the assets which is available, gap areas, and for filling the gaps, how the planning can be done on Bhuvan Panchayat. So there is an SOPs, and today most of the academic institutions are involved in a project called EPRIS, and this data is available at many places. You also will recall on Bhuvan we are having 1 meter and also 2.5 meters data will be periodically every year. It is going to be new data is going to come, and also the AWIFS data 4 seasons information will be being placed. So there is an ample opportunity for academia to look in what is the best way to process. For urban applications, as you are aware, under National Urban Information System, around 140 towns, the mapping at 1:10,000 scale has been completed, and that is being used for the planning purposes. But in the new Amrut program, around 500 cities where on a scale of 1:4,000, the base maps or the base information will be provided on Bhuvan, and the town planning departments will be doing this kind of a planning process online on the Bhuvan resources itself. That means what is the today's existing plan and what is the demand which is coming the next 5 to 10 years, and how well we can plan for the incoming population and their requirements. And the urban plan and the master plan will be published on Bhuvan itself, where you have a discussion forum where people can interact and look into the changes what is happening. You also should understand the potential of the stereo data which is available not only on the Cartosat 1 series, but also on the multi-viewing capabilities what Cartosat 2 series facilitates us. And you are aware, today we have the Cartosat 2 series with 65 centimeters resolution. That means we are capable of doing maps at 1:3,000 scale and 1:4,000 scale. And such information has the details of even the rural villages. When it is shown to the parliamentarians, they feel as if it is taken from aerial cameras. Such is the capability which has been done with indigenous optics and the payloads from our Indian scientists, and such data is quite valuable for any of the urban projects and also for the infrastructure. Infrastructure in terms of the roads, the new road networks which need to be made, and also the railway alignments, and also the buildings which is going to come. In fact, you will be also aware, or you should be aware, that agencies like NBCC, wherever the new construction sites which they are going to make, how they will align using the state-of-art remote sensing data today which is available. And also you are aware for a few things like energy segment, the micro-hydel stations, more than 100 micro-hydel stations, mini-hydel stations have been identified using the Cartosat digital elevation model. And also the cut and fill, the material available for construction of roads in the northeastern region. There is a major application being done by my colleagues for the nature, and digital elevation model has become very important input for the flood forecasting models, and a flood vulnerability index map has been published on Bhuvan using 100 years of climate data, which is very useful for the academia to look in the peak runoff rates and the runoff volume which can be created for many of the bridges, the life of the bridges and what is their susceptibility can be very well done, and this is all published on Bhuvan where we can put in. And there is one simple example I would like to bring. When a group of secretaries has come on second green revolution in eastern India, and they want to identify the Kharif fallow, rice fallows. It was only a time of 2 days. Since the data is available, it's only to reprocess the data of which is available on Bhuvan, has been processed and then could be made available for the respective governments as well as the 6 states, which we can do. What point I am trying to draw is all this information today is available on public domain, and that too from ISRO websites, both at MOSDAC and also from India WARIS, which has been developed for Water Resource Ministry, or from Bhuvan, and also we have a databases on NICES, and also we have on disaster management support program for 6 major disasters in terms of the flood or in fire or in landslides, etc., are also being placed on Bhuvan periodically and regularly. And one more important information is on the heat wave predictions also are being provided, and last year the state government of Telangana has hosted this on their local communication network to reach all the villages and also all the schools. And this time the loss of life due to heat wave in this particular region has reduced. One is the information dissemination, and to the locations where it is needed. That is the most important part we should look in. And you are all aware during the floods what we had in Kedarnath and Badrinath, we lost a lot of life and also infrastructure. To assess the infrastructure loss, it has been suggested that why we should not take up the space-based remote sensing in such an activity. But here we took up a different way of studying in crowdsourcing. That means locally students who are accustomed with that kind of a terrain, which is a very tough terrain and a harsh terrain to move in. And we made a mobile apps which is accessible onto the Bhuvan platform. And we have seen before the next winter season starts, there are more than 1,000 points. Today more than I think around 20,000 points are available where we could assess what is the real loss or the failure of bridges or the buildings in terms of the cracks. So this now has gone a long way. All the projects of Government of India where the investments are being made are being used by space technology. One from observation from the space, from satellites, or second is from the field information in terms of geotagging the assets. And once the assets are geotagged, depending upon the requirement of making an ease of doing business, which has happened for the Ministry of Culture to look in how the existing monuments are there, and within that reach, within 72 hours, an approval cycle has been made by the government and has been published. And this is where the space technology is trying to help in doing ease of doing business. So all the applications data today which I am speaking on the societal benefit are available on public website. So the opportunity future, what is it on data analytics? And this data analytics is going to be a big game changer. And the next century is on data analytics, and I request all the academia to take up more proactive role in interacting with any of our ISRO centers located across the country and have a dialogue of your interest and also the interest which is from the local developmental agencies which is needed for these specific purposes. In future, for the next few years, the ISRO's role is on space applications, which looks at in socio-economic security. The socio-economic security deals with food security, energy security, water security, shelter, the infrastructure, and also on information. And this is where we are trying to continuously provide the data processed and as a value added services which we will put in. We have one point is on the science related data, we have a NICES website. I request you to kindly look into those parameters. 13 out of the 26 ECVs information is being processed and regularly placed. So this will be a valuable input for the academia. While coming to the sustainable development, which is another pillar on the applications, we are looking at sustainable development in terms of agriculture, urbanization, or impacts of climate change, biosphere, geosphere program. So these all varied information we need to be assessed by academia morely. Today there is a mechanism of planning for urban, planning for forestry in terms of forest management plan, which is supposed to be a sustainable plan. But an audit or an assessment need to be done by academia, which active role has to be taken up, and the data will be made available for such kind of a processing put through. The third is on disaster risk reduction, where today we are looking at the response and recovery, but more importantly the planning part of it to ensure there is no loss of life, or also looking into the flood hazard zonations or any hazard zonation, multi-hazard zonations which need to be made where we can prepare the people without any loss of life in those particular regions. And overall putting all these three comes under the governance, and that governance in terms of the planning, monitoring and evaluation and also decision support system which is needed for that particular aspect is overall applications goal. But for applications we need satellites, and for that satellite we have the space infrastructure which is in place, and for the space infrastructure to be placed, low cost access to space to the launch vehicle, and the capacity building for such infrastructure is one of the outreach facility which we have brought in recently, which will go a long way. So, I request most of the academia over here hearing me here is a sincere appeal from Director NRSC to contact the colleagues, ask for bigger projects, but of relevance to the people, and that is where the societal benefits can be made for a larger segment to come forward. Thank you.